Jonathan David's first season at Juventus has been a true roller coaster. He will want to have played a bigger attacking role for the club, but the numbers, I mean, they're okay. Juve remains in the hunt for Champions League qualification going into a derby on Sunday against Torino. Should be a great game. Torino's been really good at home, and it's a must-win for Juventus. And if David can have a starring performance in potential Champions League qualification, perhaps much will be forgotten and put in the rear view. This is Match Night. This is Brendan. This is Wilson. I mean, some of the things that were said this year were absolutely ridiculous, like the Parmesan cheese on the seafood pasta. Like,
yeah, it's a no-no.
I mean, I know it's a no-no, but like, I don't like mustard. I'm not gonna like dig into someone for doing something like. Anyway, it's just been a weird year for Jonathan David at Juventus. How do you assess his first season at Juventus, Jordan? Like, it's going to be hard to consider it a success, but I don't think it's been a failure either.
I want to be fair when I was talking about this as well, because we know that we love Jonathan David for Canada, but you have to actually take it in on the season that he had at Juventus. I think it was disappointing, but it wasn't disastrous. And I think there's always going to be a little bit of, okay, this is a guy that kept scoring goals for fun at Lille and just felt like unplayable at times. It was never going to be that direct copy and paste going to Juve, because it's a different league. It's way more strict in certain ways. Like, guys are defending differently. Service was going to be different. You look at him as well. He wasn't the guy. Like, a lot of times he was on the bench. We just showed the stats as well about minutes played. So it was tough for him. You could see that maybe the level for him in the Serie A is not a reach. It's just taking him a bit of time to get settled and really kick into gear. So I think disappointing because you had big hopes for him, but it wasn't disastrous. I don't think that.
I think when you look at his move going to Juve, which is one of the biggest clubs in the world, the league and style of play is completely different than Liga. Now, tactically and technically, the players defensively are very good in Italy. They've always been that way. The games don't open up like they do in other leagues, like a Premier League, a Liga, or La Liga. They're very compact. They're disciplined when they defend. It's going to take him time to realize, how do I break these guys down? How do I get my movement right where I can get myself half a yard? And how can I get in the right area so that I can get the service that I need? And I think at times when you watch Juventus, they struggle to break teams down at times, and especially in that final third. And he was not getting the service. He had, 27 starts this year? Only 8 goals. We know he's a prolific goal scorer. It's up to them to get him the ball. And if he's not comfortable at Juve come the end of the season, if he has a good World Cup, well, I think the world would be his oyster, because he'll be deciding where he wants to move.
This was a clam seafood. That was good.
There you go.
Very good, Jimmy.
I think for Lille as well, he found a lot of moments. I think his best attribute is obviously his IQ and the way he can find space. But for Lille, there were so many passes played forward, and it was vertical for him. And for Juve, he was a guy that now has to hold the ball up, has center backs on him trying to basically just close down his space. It was a different type of football for him, and he still found joy at times, but it wasn't the same type of joy he was finding in Liga.
It wasn't an easy season for Juventus in general. They fired their manager. There's some really good young players there, Yildiz and others, and they became a much more better attacking side. But whether it was Vlahovic in the team or Openda, like, there would seem to be always competition, and he never could separate himself from either one of them. So it was kind of like a carousel where no one really took full advantage of the ride that they were on. So with that being said, I mean, Jonathan David may be fine staying at Juventus. I think it remains to be seen if the club wants to prioritize Jonathan David at this point, whether they might go out into the market to try to find another number 9. And if that's the case, do you give it some time if you're Jonathan David, Jimmy? Do you stay at Juventus, or are you better at this point maybe seeing what else is out there?
I think look, at the end of the day, it's his decision, and he'll understand completely where he is, where his head's at. Do I want to stay here, or maybe do I need another challenge? Now, if you've got a player like Jonathan David that comes to Juventus, would you not be watching all the tape that he's had and doing your homework to figure out, how does he score his goals? How do we got to get this guy the ball? Because we know he is a prolific goal scorer. He's going to get plenty of opportunity. But we've got to get him the service. And we can't play him in a different role than what he's used to. And I think they've played him in a different role at times. And you're right, where he's got to hold up the ball and be a little bit more physical. That's not his game. He wants to find his little pockets, get behind defenders, and find those little areas where he can be successful.
I think to some degree, at Lille, he was a big fish in a little pond, so he was able to go out and do his thing and be the guy. And it's difficult, because I think in the striker position, a lot of that is confidence, a lot of it is like aura and how you feel. It's tough at Juve when it's just different stakes. I think also, too, we talk about this all the time, like a World Cup year, going into a World Cup, you could have rumors of making a move. Depending on how those 6 to 8 weeks go, could be a totally different thing when you're coming out of that tournament. So I hope the same thing for Jay David, like how well he does and how many times he can score goals and basically show the world what he can do, because we know he's a prolific striker. He could be leaving and being in a totally different situation in 2 months' time.
I mean, it was just a big investment for Juventus. Yes, he went on a free, but salary-wise, the agent's fees, like
big jump.
There was expectations, and he's not like that 6-foot-tall strapping striker with outstanding hold-up play. He's a different mold, and I'm not sure if playing. This Serie A season was a very tough watch. And I thought 2 years ago the Serie A was very good, but Italian football, it slowed right down, and I just don't think it's played to his strengths, and I think he might be better just to move on away from there before things maybe move into an even more, not negative way, just you don't want things to stall out.
He's
you
in
want
his
things
prime.
yes, you want things to progress, and I just feel like
He'll
this
be
year
fine.
was lateral. Well, you said that, like, there's been good runway, and this has probably been a good experience heading into the World Cup. I was grinning when you were talking about the way that he's played, because it can be argued, and I think Jordan and I have multiple times, like on a regular basis on this program, suggested Jesse Marsch isn't necessarily playing Jonathan David in the best way for him at the number 10. So what do we make of this lead into the World Cup, having this Juventus situation, and what may be in store in the month of June and July?
Look, we're going to rely heavily on Jonathan David. He's one of our best players in this national team. In my opinion, personally, we've got to get him as close to goal as possible. We need players that can score goals. He can score goals. He's prolific. We know that, but we've got to get him into the right areas. And it's up to Jesse Marsch. He likes him coming a little bit deep and playing in different areas, but for me, he's at best when he's in that box and people are giving him service.
Is he in a good place to impact this World Cup? Yes, because look at one thing that we've been talking about and harping on for 6 months, probably longer, the health of this team. Jonathan David, we know, will be there and will play significant minutes. And I'll probably say in the 3 games that Canada promised, I don't think or expect to see him come off the pitch. He should be playing that 10 role that Jesse Marsch has been devout about. He said that's where he's going to play, and then maybe even push up further. But what I will say, Wheels and Jimmy, is that if Canada go and play Bosnia and Herzegovina and they don't score, and I see Jonathan David taking all these touches and this player's on him, and it's congested in the midfield, and he never makes a darting run in between the lines, I will remind people what you've said, Wheels, and what I've been praying and harping about forever, is our best player and prolific striker is not playing in his best position. I hope it works, because I know that a lot is riding on this World Cup, but it's okay for us to question that our best player, our for sure thing, is not in a for sure spot. So I hope it works out. I hope he gets some partnership with either Larin or Oluwaseyi, whoever it might be.
Yeah.
But if we go through 3 games and I don't see the best of Jonathan David, I'm not going to look at Jonathan David. I'm looking at the system in place that has him playing further away from goal, and he should be way more effective than he is.
I would like to see him playing as a number 9 and put Flores underneath him.
Yeah,
That
exactly.
little bit of creativity.
It'd be nice.
That I think that all 3 of us would. I'll say this, like glass half full. Sometimes, adversity reveals character, and this guy's chock full of character. So I think that will help him. And maybe not burning out, playing too many minutes this club season can be advantageous heading into the World Cup as well. What to watch here on One Soccer, presented by Stack TV. The CONCACAF Champions Cup final, May 30th, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. It's Toluca, it's Tigres. Should be a lot of fun. Then Canada, Uzbekistan, Canada, Republic of Ireland, the 2 World Cup warm-ups. And the Canadian women, 2 days before the World Cup kicks off, they take on Costa Rica on June 9th from 9 p.m. Eastern Time, 6 p.m. Pacific.